Welcome to another episode of Love Living Local 315. We are your hosts, Scott and Kelly Great, and today we dive into the inspiring journey of Nazzy, a multi-talented musician, entrepreneur, and founder of Dreamer Studios. From growing up as the quote-unquote music guy at Proctor High School to building his own recording studio and now expanding into a shared creative space, Nazzy has never stopped chasing his dreams. And in this conversation, Nazzy shares how his passion for music led him to drop out of college, travel across the country, and eventually return with a vision to help others. You'll hear about the lessons he learned along the way, the importance of collaboration and creative community, and his plans to launch 4K Creative Studios, a one-stop content hub for artists, businesses, and creatives. So get ready for an episode packed with insights on pursuing your passions, the realities of the music business, and how one individual is making an impact in Utica's creative scene and beyond. So stay tuned. It's one you won't want to miss. So let's take it back to Proctor. You mentioned that you were known as the artist.
Yeah.
All right, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so since I was little, I never shut up. You could ask my mom. I never really be quiet. I was always singing. I was always playing an instrument at all times. And even through the halls, I was always singing, dancing. And then once 8th grade came around, I bought my first setup ever, which was the cheapest setup you could possibly buy. I had a job at the pools. I saved up enough money to buy the cheapest Lenovo laptop you could get, the cheapest audio interface, and the cheapest mic. And since then, I had my best friend, Robert. We were in band together. Actually, we sat right next to each other. And all of our friends were like, hey, you guys should start recording. You guys are always rapping, always singing all the time. Why don't you guys record? And it started on Xbox, actually. Okay. We would be playing Call of Duty and we would be rapping the whole time and just making everybody mad in the lobby. Who
was your go-to?
For
back then?
You
were like your own stuff, or were you like other people's stuff?
Oh, no. Well, we kind of like freestyle here and there, but I think Lil Wayne and Drake mostly, for the most part. We used to do that. But we started there. All of our friends were like, hey, you guys should record. And so I was like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's try it. And since then, I just never put it down. Every day after school, after practice, I had to touch something with music, either produce, sing, write. And then again, I was in the band, so I was playing my instrument. So I was always musical from day one. Yeah. So that's kind of how it started.
And the instrument was?
I started with saxophone. I transitioned to trumpet, and then I played baritone, which for people who don't know what a baritone is, it's a smaller tuba.
Yeah. We learned that last night.
We did learn that, yeah.
So I was back there rocking and rolling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where's that come from? Is that just a natural gift? Is it in the family? Were you self-taught? Did you take lessons?
Yeah, so a lot of it's self-taught. A lot of it is, I think, genetics too. A lot of my family makes music. On my dad's side, I have a lot of artists, a lot of singers, things of that nature. My dad was a singer as well. Okay. My mom always had music playing all the time. She sang a lot, not that well, but she was already.
I can relate.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, but she was always singing as well. So I think a little bit of everything. I self-taught myself how to record people. I self-taught how to really play different instruments. So I was classically trained on trumpet, but when it came to piano, guitar, and all the other stuff that I play, I taught myself with just research and stuff like that. And then when it came to the really like recording people, I think me being a person who's not afraid to ask questions, I met one of my best friends, K Twist, who I started Dreamer Studios with. I know we're going to get into that after, but he taught me a lot of the stuff that I knew because he's a little bit older than me. So I was always a sponge around him, just asking him a bunch of questions and really a mix of everything, I think, for sure.
Did you meet through music?
We met through music. We actually met through Rich Vocals, who I know you know, obviously. Rich Vocals introduced us. I was recording out of my mom's house at the time. And I was like, wow, I really feel like I could be better and get better. I wanted more. So he introduced me to Twist, who he went to record. And ever since then, we were just super close.
So after high school,
yes,
you decided to leave college and travel.
Yeah.
And I love what you said, that you realized how hard it is to become that popular artist.
Absolutely.
It is eye-opening, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your travels.
Yeah.
And then talk about going back to college.
I love this question because I actually told my mom this, and your parent, right?
Yep.
And obviously if I came to you and said, hey, I'm not going to college, you'd be like, whoa. And that was the plan, right? That was a plan in our house. But I was like, Mom, this just isn't for me. It's not for me. I don't know why I'm here. I'm not enjoying learning. I was always good in school, but it's because I was learning stuff I wanted to learn. Yeah. And especially like going to band and stuff like that. Like that was my favorite class, going to band because of music. But I told her, I was like, hey, listen, my mind's not on it right now. Like, it's just not what I want to do. I want to travel. I want to make music. I want to learn about music. So I dropped out of college after my second semester and I just traveled my butt off. Like I went to Atlanta, I went to Houston, I went to Los Angeles a couple times, and I was just really all about connecting with other people who were on the same mindset as me and wavelength when it came to music. And then this comes a little after, but I met Ryan Miller, who I'll get into as well at the Thinkubator. But while I was traveling, it's hard for people to realize, hey, you might not be the best at something. You know, especially once you're getting older and you feel like, especially as a kid when you were like better than everyone around. I see it in sports all the time, right? You're so far ahead of people in sports when you're younger and you're supposed to be this amazing player. Then you get to the big leagues where everybody's just as fast as you. Everybody's just as skilled as you. And people might be stronger than you and stuff like that. So it's hard to really cope with that. But I had that realization. And luckily, I got a good head on my shoulders. So I was like, okay, maybe you're not going to be the next Drake. Maybe you're not going to be the next set artist here. But there's ways to make money. Yeah. Which was always on my mind too. I loved making money.
Yeah. Let's go there because my logistical brain shut down when you said I left high school and just started traveling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, where's he getting money from?
Right. right.
What does that look like?
I was always working. That's one thing that my mom always instilled in me since I was young. I think I've always had a job since I was 15. I never didn't have a job, right? Or two jobs at once. I always worked, whether it was at grocery store, whether it was retail, whether it was at the gym that I used to work at. I was always working to fund music. So everything musically that I have, I literally funded since 15 because I just knew. I was like, I want this really, really bad. So while I was traveling, I was also working.
Okay. two different jobs and
two different jobs, just surviving, really, putting money into what I love to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And funding everything like that. So
what sparked the decision to come back?
I think traveling. You guys had Josh up here.
Yeah.
We did a lot of traveling together, things like that. We did a lot of business together. And I think the circle that I was around, we were around a lot. I don't know if he touched on it too much, but we were around a lot of creatives. All of us had a mission, whether it was podcasting, whether it was recording music, videos, photography, social media content, things like that. We were all really pushing each other. And once I realized that, okay, it's really hard to make it in the music business. Like you either need to know somebody or have millions of dollars on your side to push yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the name of the game for anybody listening. Like it's the reality. You can blow up. There's always a chance of going viral. There's always a chance of going viral. There's always a chance of going viral, but it's very hard. Right. But so you either have a lot of money backing you or you know somebody in the industry that can give you the push to come to help and be around the right people. So once I learned that I had neither one of those, right?
All due respect to Graz.
All due respect to right. All due respect to him. But once I realized I had neither one of those, and I was like, okay, I don't know anybody in the industry, and I don't have $1 million in my back pocket to go spend for marketing, whatever it is. I can make money still from music. There's 100 different lanes to make money. As I was traveling, I was learning this. So yes, I was having my fun, partying, having a good time, whatever it was. But I'm a very observative person. So I was always just watching what everyone else did and learning and being a sponge around people. So once I learned what a producer is, right? A music producer. Once I learned what an audio engineer is, right? Once I learned what Graz was doing with his photos. Once I learned what he was doing with videography. Once I learned what Rich Vocals was doing with his podcast, I was like, oh, there's a lot of money in this stuff. There's a lot of money. So that's kind of what sparked it was me understanding, okay, there's different, I might not be that main artist, but I could be behind the scenes making money, helping those big artists as well. And I think it's easier to get into that space. And I just love doing it. I love helping people in general. So when it came to that, it was just an easy choice to come back to school and go for business.
Okay.
So let's touch on Ryan Miller. He was your professor.
Absolutely. One of my favorite professors
and
ever.
Said to you, when you are ready, to start your business. So come see me.
I have the funniest story. I tell this to everyone that I meet. Ryan, I was like his, I don't want to say class clown, but I was the one that was really into it, asking him all the questions. And he's a funny person in general. So we would joke back and forth.
This is what class? What class?
This is, I want to say it was called Principles of Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Or something along.
Class.
It was entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a business class. So he's a musician himself. Yep. Some people don't know that. So I think he saw a spark in me that he knew I loved music, right? So we were going through our classes. I was loving it. It was my favorite class ever. I loved going to it. It was one of those ones where like, college, you want to skip class all the time. And I was like, nope, I'm going today for sure. So our final project was a Shark Tank pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I pitched the studio, which is now Dreamer Studios, right? And he completely humbled me and crapped on everything, but in the best teaching way possible. Right. Not like mean, rude, but he was like, hey, I know you have this dream and I know you're excited, but this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Start thinking about this. Start thinking about this. You're only worried about one thing. Right. But at this time I was running it out of my mom's house already. Right. I was making a couple $1,000s a month out of my mom's house, just having people come in and out and recording. So I was like, what do you know? I was like, Ryan, I'm already doing this.
At first you're mad.
Yeah, at first I was like,
upset. Wait a minute.
I was really natural. Yeah, I was really upset. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making $1,000 a month.
This guy has to see my bankroll.
Yeah, dude, come on, man. But when he told me that, something really sat with me and it showed how much that he actually cared. He was one of the professors that really, really showed me that he cared about like his students and what we were doing. Right. So after he crapped on my whole idea that I spent so long working on, he looked at me after class and he said, I can tell how passionate you are about this. And this will always stick with me for the rest of my life. I can tell how passionate you are about this. I see it in you. Come back to me when you're ready. Just like that, and left it right there. Right. So years go by. I'm back in school. I played soccer at MV, doing my thing, still traveling, still having a good time, whatever it was. And a spark just hit me and I was like, you know what? I think I'm officially ready to start the studio. I'm tired of having it in my mom's house. There's too many people coming in and out. It was like uncontrollable at that point. And I just didn't want all those people up and down my mom's house at first. So I was like, I called him. I was like, Ryan, I think I'm ready. We got into a meeting and then Dreamer started to slowly come about. And within 4 months, I opened the studio.
We can relate. We started this in our kitchen.
Yeah.
And now
we have people traipsing through the business, the growing pains, right?
Exactly.
What was step one?
Business plan.
Okay.
Right. So being a student and for business administration, it was always business plan, having set goals, having a plan. I'm really, really huge on planning everything before you do it. Even the smallest of things, whether it's a trip with my friends, like I'm the annoying dad of the group. That's like, okay, guys, we got to be here at this time. We got to do this. Make sure you have this packed. We're ready to go. Yeah. Once we land, we're going here, there. Right. Yeah. So it's like, so I'm a I just plan everything out. So I think it was that original, okay, what's the problem that I want to solve? How are we going to solve it? What are the things that we might run into type of thing? Yeah. So
you have a unique skill when it comes to business because typically to paint with a really wide brush, there's the dreamer, right? So pun intended there. Right. There's the dreamer, the visionary, who usually lacks the logistical, detail-oriented skills. And they have the dream and the vision, but they freeze up because they don't know how to do it, how to execute on it. And then there's the logistical people who get that paralysis with analysis, right? And they have it all on paper, but they never actually do anything with it. Yeah. So talk to me about when you go through this business plan, you've got this vision, you're a logistical guy. Did that make it easier or harder?
Absolutely made it easier.
Yeah.
Made it easier. All those worries that most people would have. Oh, am I going to make enough money? Oh, how am I going to survive? Things like that. Am I going to get enough people to come in? Right. So I think I had a lucky start because I already had the studio.
Yeah, I'll give you a pushback there. Okay. I mean, not lucky, right? I mean,
not lucky.
You had already started building it.
Yeah, I built my clientele already. So I had a lot of people that already came to me. Right. But there's a lot of people that wouldn't come to me because, it's in a small room in my house, right? It's not an actual studio physical space to go to, right? That's a big difference. Yeah. Whether I pitched you an idea of, hey, I have a studio in my house. Do you want to come record? It's $50 an hour. Or, hey, I have this amazing place that's standalone by itself, business. Sure. It's $70 an hour.
Sure.
I would probably want to go to the 70-hour one and spend extra money, right? So I think it helped a lot more because I planned for the worst. So one thing about business that I always do is I always shoot the lowest I possibly can. What's the lowest amount of people that I think I'm going to get in? Right? Most people get so excited. They're like, oh, I'm going to have 500 people come in this month or whatever it is. I always shoot low because I know I'm going to do better than that. But just to see it on paper, what's the least amount that I have to make to survive? Right? So that's kind of my mindset when I go into business. And I did that with Dreamers. I was like, okay, what are the least amount of people that I need to come in here per month to survive, pay bills, not even pay myself, just to survive and pay bills.
So let's talk about Dreamer Studios.
That's my mindset. Yeah.
What do you do there?
Yeah, so Dreamer Studios.
It seems like you do everything.
Yeah, we try to do everything, right? So I started Dreamer Studios with my buddy K Twist. He moved to LA and he's doing a lot of cool music stuff over there now, which I'm very, very proud of. He's working with a lot of cool people over there. But I started with him. He was a head engineer. I was a second engineer. Now I'm by myself, so I do everything by myself. But Dreamer Studios is a recording studio, right? But we also do videography and photography and all that types of cool stuff. And I also am starting to slowly move into the helping the youth, working with people like ICANN and things like that to really give people the idea and a chance to really understand how music can move people, right? One thing I learned about music is it brings people together. Even in band, like there is a certain time in band where we all hit the right note at the same time, as corny as it sounds. And we all stopped and my conductor stopped and everybody didn't say a word. And we're all just like, and he goes, do you feel that? And we were all like, yeah, we felt that. Just that little moment, I was like, wow, music is really, really powerful. Yeah. And that'll always stick with me. But I want to show people how powerful music is, how it can bring people together. I mean, you see it every day, right? You see these people in big arenas, like tens of thousands of people all coming in because of what they feel something with the music that moves them, right? So I want to give the youth a chance because I don't think there was a place like that for me growing up. When I was younger in their age, there wasn't any really big studio that I could go to in a safe place that wasn't in someone's house, right? That I can go to and be creative in a safe place and be myself, right? So I want to give people that chance. So we're kind of doing that stuff too, getting into the community a little bit more.
That's so exciting because music, sports, some of the extracurricular activities are what's keeping kids in school.
Absolutely.
For sure, like you said. And for them to know that they have a space like that where they can learn even more.
Absolutely.
Because your high school teachers or whatever are very limited in the time and their expertise, quite honestly. Like you are offering something totally different. That
I record people from 14 years old all the way to the 50s. I got kids that come to me after school. I got grown people that are coming to me at nighttime to get away and just make some music. It's a blessing. And I love it because I get to meet so many different people and learn their stories. Even if they don't think I'm learning their stories, I get to listen to them, what they're talking about, and I can hear what they're talking. You know what I mean? Cool. So I get to learn a lot.
What's that look like tactically? Like, how are you meeting the youth, right? How are you going to the schools? Are you going to different camps? Are you networking with different people who already have the relationships? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think my stint that I had at ICANN helped me a lot. So I worked at ICANN for a year. I was a facilitator specialist. So what I did was I went to the schools and gave talks about different things like how to make friends, different emotional skills, things like that. So I went to go talk to them and they loved me. They loved me. I come with a lot of energy. I'm calm right now, but I'm usually super ADHD. And like
I'm feeling it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like that perfect note. I'm sensing it.
Yeah, right? Like, so I'm very, very outgoing. I love talking. So the kids loved me. And I always, in my intro, I always told them what I did. Because I used to be afraid of telling people that I do hip hop because sometimes there's negative connotation on hip hop and what's in hip hop, right? But I always told them, hey, my name's Naz. Outside of here, I own a recording studio. Outside of this job, I'm a rapper. I'm an artist. I'm a producer. If any of you guys are ever interested in that type of stuff, please contact me or whoever I can, and we can help you guys out, right? So they love that. Just last week, actually, I had one of my old students come with a kid that I've been recording for the past year. Never knew that they were related. It was his cousin. And he walked in and he goes, Mr. Naz, I didn't know you actually were serious about having a studio. Awesome. And it was like, it brightened my day right off. So a lot of networking, I would say. A lot of networking through word of mouth, things of that nature. But I think my stint at ICANN really, really helped as well. And even though I'm not with them anymore, we're doing a lot of stuff through the IPA with them and working through the studio to try and start a course on how to learn. I want people to learn how to record because one of the things I always tell my artists is I think it's very important that if you're a musical artist, I think you should know how to do every piece of the music. Right? In general, I think whatever your job is, I think it's important to at least know a little bit about everything. It makes you an all-around player.
Where is the studio?
Studio's at 2507 Genesee Street in Utica, closer down towards 1 Jenny.
Okay.
Around that area for the older folks that used to be Nick LaBella's old security firm over there. If anybody remembers.
As soon as you said for the older folks, I'm like,
That's us.
Yeah, here it comes, the old jokes.
For the people that
remember. All right, so looking back.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you faced when you were creating Dreamer Studios?
I think looking for a spot that would deal with music, right? Because it's not a regular business, right? It's loud music, big speakers, and noise, right? There's not a lot of commercial spots that you can look for and I can say, hey, Mr. Landlord, just so you know, I'm going to have music blaring for 10 hours of the day, for 10 hours of the day. But I promise you everything's okay. It's good here. Yeah. I think that was the hardest spot hardest thing was finding a spot that could deal with that type of business.
Okay.
And thankfully, the first spot that I had kind of fell through. It was really out of the way. And then I found that spot through Nikki Lubella. And thankfully, I got in there just in time for the last summer and everything worked out perfectly.
The other dichotomy of you play both sides of this. So I artistically, I guess, I can't play music. I can't sing. I like to write.
You sing pretty well.
Oh,
You're
you.
okay.
Give yourself
Give
yourself some credit.
So I like to write.
Yep.
And you can have the best, most well-written book ever, but if you can't sell it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So same thing applies in music.
Absolutely.
You could be working with one of the greatest artists that you've ever worked with, but if they can't sell what they're doing, then does it matter, right? No one hears it. You do both sides of this,
yes,
right? So you do videography, you do photography.
Yep.
I checked out your website. Like you do awesome work. Like it looks cool. It looks modern. Looks real. Tells a story.
Thank you.
So how do you balance that, right? With someone who, they're in the studio and they're focused on the work, but then also the importance of, hey, you gotta look the part too. You gotta have this brand, this image. Yeah. So talk to me about that process.
Lately, like I said, I kind of took a step back from, again, trying to be that main artist, right? And I want to start helping more people. Rather, I'd like to play the background. I used to be, oh my God, put me in front of the camera. But lately I'm like, okay, let me take a step back and try and help some other people, right? So I try and have these conversations with artists that come in and stress the importance of, okay, you might have the best song. It might be a #1 Billboard hit, but if you can't market it, if there's not a face behind it, if people don't know who you are, nobody cares. And that's just the unfortunate truth, right? Nobody cares. You could put out...
Well, the reality, it won't become a #1 hit.
It won't become a #1 hit, right? If you're not putting in the work.
Right.
And something, when it comes to independent artists, right, of all kinds, it doesn't matter if you're a country artist, doesn't matter if you're a pop artist, doesn't matter if you're R&B, hip hop, whatever it is. If you're an independent artist, you have to realize you are the label, right? So if I'm a signed artist, I have this label with 12 different categories. I have the marketing team, I have this team, I have that team that are doing everything for me. All I have to do is get on this mic, sing the song, and walk out. Right? Then they get to do all the rest. When you're an independent artist, you are all these people.
Yeah. It's the hardest part.
It stinks.
It's definitely the hardest part.
It's one of the things that I truthfully hate about being an independent artist is I have to do everything. I have to mix the song. Right? Well, some people go to studios like me and mix, but I mix my song. I record the lyrics. I master my song. I have to go get cover art. I have to go shoot a video. I have to come up with the video. I have to get a bunch of pieces of content. I then have to schedule posts on my Instagram every day or every other day, however you want to do it, right? I then have to market. I have to set up ads. I have to do this, that, and a third, all by myself. And I think a lot of artists, especially new artists, don't understand that that's a whole process. Once you get out of that studio, your job's not done. And then the biggest thing I always tell them is, you just came here, spent money with me, put your heart and soul into this, right? Into this song that you care really much about and you think it's a #1 hit. Most of them post their song once and expect it to blow up. That's one of the things that pisses me off is that I just shot a music video for you, right? We just put it together. You're so excited. You just paid me. You posted it Monday last week and you haven't posted it or a clip of it or mentioned it or did a podcast of nothing. And you're upset that it has 100 views. It's so hard to, like I said, blow up as an independent artist.
So you help people with this? Is this part of the services you offer?
It's not even necessarily a service. It is. I do music consultations, right? Where people come to me and they ask me, okay, how do I get my song on Apple Music? Hey, what does this even mean? How do I brand my stuff, right? Or how do I get it on Spotify? How do I shoot a music video? How do I go about those things, right? So I talk to people about that stuff, but this is more just when I see potential in people, or even when people ask me questions, I usually take time out of our session to explain these things to people. Whether they listen or not, that's on them. But I always try and tell them, hey guys, it's so much more than you guys coming here and recording. So much more, trust me. And they look at me a little bit different because I am an artist as well. Right. So it's different going to a studio. I think that's why a lot of people come to me and trust me, is because it's different going to a studio and an older guy that's been recording people for a while that doesn't make music is recording you compared to a younger dude who's into the music that you're making and actually makes music himself and understands what you're going for. Right? So I think people trust me with that.
How funny is it that you are actually the person, like when you think about it, like you were so excited about your business plan.
Yeah.
You pitched it to Ryan. He said, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. These people are coming in your studio, they're singing their heart out, and you're going,
Ryan, what did you do to me?
This is great, but you need to do this, and that. That's
I'm
fantastic.
slowly turned into a little Ryan Miller.
That is, I mean, but you're helping people. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
And you know that because being in those shoes, you realize you need people to tell you what to do to make their stuff better.
And that's a lot of the reason why I started Dreamers was because there was really no helping hand that I had when I was 14, 15, 16, 17. There was local studios, but there wasn't anybody that was going to take their time out to really say, hey, man, I see potential in you. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah,
this is what you should be doing.
Do you do work outside of music?
Yeah. I do other stuff. I do videography, photography, things like that. I'm much of a entrepreneur right now. Right. So,
but not just for musicians.
No, not just for musicians.
Right.
No. We do
just
a lot of
clarify
different. Yeah, we do a lot of different things. I do photo shoots, things like that.
Okay.
Headshots.
We have a kid we got to get you in touch with. Our son has taken up photography as a hobby. Yeah,
I got the perfect people for him to meet. And one of my favorite things is I used to work in insurance, actually. I used to work for Northwestern Mutual.
Okay.
And one of the things I took away from that was my favorite speech is I might not know how to do something, but I know somebody within a phone call that knows how to do it.
Yeah. It's who, not how.
Yep. Exactly.
Talk to us about impact. How did you know that your work was making an impact? Is there one moment or memory that you're like, ooh, this is why I do? Almost like that band moment you talked about earlier. We all had the same note. That moment where you were working with someone and you're like, oh, this is why I do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of my travels and meeting really, really cool people on my travels, I was like, okay, maybe I am leading in the right direction and sticking with this music stuff. I met some really, really cool people on the way, some famous people that I never thought I would like even shake hands with, which was really, really cool to me. Like there's a song, Drake put out a song years ago. It's called Girls Love Beyonce. And James Fauntleroy, who's a huge writer in the industry. He's very behind the scenes. He writes for like all of our favorite artists. I'm sure somebody on your phone he's written for.
Sure.
But I got to shake his hand last time I went to LA, all because of the connections that I've been working on and K-Twist and things of that nature. And it was just a really surreal moment. I was in this big $1 million studio, which I shouldn't have been in. I just happened to be there because of the people that I met. And he was the coolest guy in the world. He was like, what's up, bro? How you doing? Yeah. I was just like, whoa, I didn't expect like him to be so cool and calm and collected. But right then I was like, okay, maybe you're doing the right stuff, right? Meeting the right people. But also impact wise, just having from high school, like I was always known as the music guy, right? Like everyone knew whatever. But I think when I started going out of town and having people say, hey, you're Nazzy, right? That still gets me to this day. Mm-hmm. It's like when people are like, hey, you're Nazzy, you make music, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I am. I'm like, I'm not even in Utica right now. What's going on? I'm 100 miles away in Albany or whatever it is. And people are still noticing me. So once that kept happening, I was like, wow, okay. Maybe something cool is happening here. So
let's talk about your album.
Yeah.
Autumn's Calling 2. You just dropped it.
Yes.
Okay. What can listeners expect from it?
So backstory, this is the sequel to Autumn's Calling 1, which was actually my first ever album I put together at the bakery. Shout out to Eric Armitage and Jack. Those are my guys. They actually helped me put this album together. But that was the first time I really started working with people, like really meeting people as in like, I was a big party guy. But I always had business on my mind. I have a weird dynamic in general, right?
You have a great dynamic. You're the best of both worlds, you know?
So I was a partier, right? I was a DJ. I was all that. So I was always at parties, but it was always business minded for me. So yeah, I was having fun. We were dancing, all that good stuff. But any chance I could, I shook your hand if you were sitting on the wall or whatever. Shook, hey, my name's Naz. I make music, just so you know. Go back to party and have a good time. Hey, I make music, just so you know. Hey, you know this party you're at right now? I'm hosting this, just so you know. So I was always super into networking and meeting people, which is another thing that I stress to people is shake everybody's hand. Mm-hmm. Be nice to every person that you come in contact with, because you never know when you're going to need them, like Ryan, right? I could have cursed him out when he said, hey, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
You
this isn't going to work.
You're going to admit it. You
did. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But yeah, so networking and things of that nature. And then what was the original question? I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
The album.
The album, right.
Album, yeah.
So the Autumn's Calling one, it was really a conglomerate of where I was in life, right? So I just dropped out of college. Again, I'm traveling, I'm having a good time, I'm partying, whatever it was. And it was really all of those moments put together with the people I was meeting who also made music, right? Whether they were from Utica, whether they're from out of state, whatever it was, all those people I was meeting. So it was that conglomerate and me finally kind of growing up from that 15, 16-year-old and starting to get into the 18, 19, 20, 21, which is a really hard transition. Right. Growing up from those times. Right. So it was really that. So Autumn's Calling 2, I really stressed the importance of making it that same type of vibe, but it's showing my maturity and growth in life. Right. When I dropped Autumn's Calling 1, I want to say I was 18. Right. Now I'm 27 and I dropped a new album. So it really shows the growth and maturity of where I was 7-8 years ago to now. Right. All the things that have happened to me in the past 7 years, good and bad. Right. So all of those things are now in Autumn's Calling 2. And it's super special to me, this album, because it was the first album I mixed and mastered myself.
Oh, cool.
So I had Twist for all my other albums. I had The Bakery for my first album. And this was the first one where I really top to bottom. Again, artists, sometimes you have to do everything yourself. Yeah. Right. So this was the first project I really from top to bottom did everything myself.
What's the story behind the title of the album? What is Autumn's Calling?
So originally Autumn's Calling was, I always dropped music in autumn, and I felt like in the music industry, a lot of big people drop in the fall, right before the fourth quarter, because obviously businesses are getting their money and everything collected. So I understood that, again, even when I was young. Sure. So a lot of people dropped in fall, and I was very big on R&B. And I feel like when fall comes around and it starts getting cold, and it's like a really big time for R&B, right? Because you want to play some smooth stuff. The fireplace is on. I don't want to hear like hype stuff. I want to play some like calm stuff. So Autumn's Calling was really a thing like that, right? So I have a bunch of R&B music, and Autumn's Coming, I started it in summer. And the same thing with this project. I started it in the summer. And then everything came to be in autumn. So
what's interesting is you're telling the story of transition.
Absolutely.
The first time around from your teen years to adulthood. And then the second time around, it's really now young adulthood into even greater maturity in the business world. And, and it sounds like it's a change of season. Exactly. Right? We talk about life being seasonal changes. And so when I heard Autumn's Calling, I think it's a neat transition from season to season in your life. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the changes of life in general, right? Life changes. Nothing really stays stagnant, especially if you don't want it to. So, feelings change. It's a lot about that too. When feelings change, right? You might like something one day, you might not like it the next day, or you might be in love with a person one day and things happen to where you're not in love with them the next, right? So a lot of that has to do with, and if you listen to the album, a lot of that has to do with the content in the album as well.
So yeah.
Comes highly recommended by Spina, our producer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Should we talk about the new project, the new LLC?
Yes.
Let's
we should.
Okay.
Yes, we should. So you guys are hearing it here first. We are actually in the middle of opening a new business called 4K Creative Studios. And basically what this is going to be, it's going to be a shared, I kept calling it a content house because I didn't have a name for it at first. So it's basically going to be a shared content house. Right? Except it's a warehouse. But I've wanted to do this since I started Dreamers. Because again, like I told you guys, I didn't get the space that I wanted for Dreamers Studios to begin with. And that was the original idea. I was around Josh. I was around Rich. I was around a bunch of these guys. And I was like, okay, we're all geniuses and creatives. Why don't we just all be a conglomerate, come together, and we have this big space where, hey, you can go record your song over here. You can go get your stuff done over here. You can go get a logo done. You can go get your multimedia, whatever you need done. You can get your photo shoot, your headshot, boom, boom, right? Let's make one spot. That didn't happen. Everybody started moving. So I had to kind of scale back on Dreamer Studios, which just became the recording studio at first. But during this whole past 2 years with Dreamers Open, I was like, I still have this plan in my head and I'm going to make it happen. I just got to wait for the right time. So finally, this time came around. I finally had time to start it. And what it's going to be is a shared space where anyone that's into creative content pieces that want to make content can come and have a safe place to do so. But at the same time, we have our own 4K team who are also photographers, videographers, people who do multimedia content. He can make logos, cover art, things of that nature. I want to touch everything, right? So we have our own team at 4K. Lily, we got Lily Ruth, we got my buddy Leroy Brown, and we got Logan Patnood, who I went to school with, actually, who's one of my best buddies at school. But we have our own team, and basically we're going to be able to do any type of content that you need, right? Whether your business needs a commercial, whether your business needs headshots for your employees, right? Whether you're having a wedding, right? We can do wedding shots. Whether you just need a photo shoot for your newborn. Okay. Whether you have a photo shoot, maybe you had your kids in soccer and you don't like their soccer pictures and you need them retaken. We can do that type of stuff, right? So anything content-wise, we are going to be able to do for people. And the best thing is it's going to be a shared space, because when it comes to creatives, I feel like we don't have really a space around here where we can all go do our own thing.
And
right?
thrive
off each other and really push ideas. Because at the end of the day, you might be good at one thing, but this person might be better at another thing. And why not have that same shared space where you guys can talk about it?
Different location?
Different location than Dreamer Studios. This is going to be on River Road, right next to the bridge, right next to North Utica Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So super out the way. And the cool thing is we're going to be able to be open late night too. Because I don't know about other creatives, but my mind is racing at 10 p.m. and I'm like, oh my God, I got to write the song right now. Or, oh my God, I got to shoot this film.
Scott's the complete opposite. Scott's up at 4:30 every morning. And I'm like, he's in bed at 9 o'clock.
My mind's still racing, but my body's sleeping.
I almost sold it to him. Darn it. All right, let me write that one down.
Unless you're still up at like 4:30 in the morning.
Early morning. Okay. But that's something that I was really looking forward to, because at Dreamer Studios, I really have to shut stuff down like ordinance time, so 9-10. So having it be able to be open from however long I want it to be, it's a blessing, because I know me, I'm a night owl. So my mind is going at 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m. Yep. And I love shooting, doing content and stuff like that. So it's going to give other people like me.
There's so much power to that collaboration and
for sure
energy when you bring people together. And as you were talking, I was thinking, I'm not this old, but back to the 60s, right? This is Haight Asbury in San Francisco, when Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Garcia, like they all were in the same neighborhood of San Francisco.
Right.
And they created music, 60 years ago that we still all know today, and so it's awesome to bring just that energy and the creatives together.
And during like the process of doing the business plan and everything like that, I was really asking my artists without them understanding why I was asking them. And I was like, would you guys ever like be interested in like a spot where you can go and shoot your own content? Right. And they would always be like, yeah, that'd be dope. And I just kind of like threw it in there, a couple different sessions with different people to really see what they would think. And it's been a positive answer every single time. Like, yeah. And then I started throwing numbers out. I was like, what would be the most that you would see? I'm always thinking business wise. What is the most that you would pay for something like that? Yeah. What's the least that you would pay for something like that? Right. So that kind of helped me put the numbers down. And the cool thing about it is, so you can either rent our team or work with our team, or if you guys have your own photographer and you don't have a space to shoot, there's your space to shoot. All you have to do is rent time to go there and you guys go do your own thing.
Cool.
Nice.
Right. So that's why I think it's a little bit different than most places, because you could be a model, you could be a photographer, you could be a videographer, you could be a young kid looking to get his sports photos, you could be a family looking to get family photos. There's something there for everybody to be able to go and do.
How do they find it?
Yeah, so we're going to have 4kcreativestudios.com up about the time probably that this is going to air and stuff like that. So you can find us there. You're going to find us on Instagram. Pages will be up very, very soon. I don't have everything together yet. But yeah, we're going to be a website and we're going to have some ads going around too. So look out for that.
In Dreamer Studio as well?
There's one shutting? Huh? Is one going to replace? Is this replacing?
No, so
Dreamers?
they're both going to be gone. They're both going to be.
So how do
open.
people find Dreamer Studios?
Yeah, so Dreamer Studios, you can find us at dreamerstudiosny.com. That is where you can book. You can find us on Instagram, dreamerstudios_315. We got our TikTok up as well, Dreamer Studios New York. And if you need to email us or have any questions, dreamerstudios315@gmail.com. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Nazzy, we close all these with rapid fire 5.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah. I think this is a good one. It's a good list.
Yeah, you did well. I read this one. Okay.
Yeah, my wife's always critical of the questions. And then sometimes Peanut chimes in and we got to put him in his place. How do you get your
creativity flowing?
How do I get my creativity flowing? Okay, so I have a process in my studio. Okay. Nice. No one's in there with me. If my friends are there, sometimes I ask them to leave and they hate it, right? So I need a candle lit, no lights on, LED lights, locked in, headphones on.
I like
That's usually how I do things.
I like it.
I love being in the dark.
When you come into the kitchen every morning, where do you
sit in the dark?
I'm sitting in the dark.
I love sitting in the dark.
And there's times when like I need to read something off of physical paper, and I'll take my cell phone and I'll put the flashlight on. I won't turn the light on. I'm like Abe Lincoln next to a candle.
I'll use the computer screen. I'll be
in bed and he has to come and wake me up in the morning, but I'll wake up before he comes in and he'll turn the radio on before he comes into the bedroom and wake me up. Other than that, it is totally silent.
Total silence, total darkness.
I need to be in the dark.
So funny.
Nice.
My friends make fun of me all the time. They will come into the studio and I'll be like, "Why are you singing in the dark?"
I ask him that all the time.
It's my piece. I love it.
Well,
It'll be midday.
I'm ugly. Like at least you're good looking. I'm in the dark for multiple reasons. All right, staycation destination 2025. So if you got to go somewhere within a 1 hour radius of Utica for a weekend, what are you gonna do?
Adirondacks.
Whereabouts?
Probably Third Lake. Up around Third Lake.
Oh, three's that's a weird number in that chain. There's only a few spots on
Fourth Lake, Third Lake. Yeah, Fourth and Third Lake. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Fourth is overcrowded.
That's why I didn't say Fourth. There's a lot of people up there.
There's way too many people too. I would go right in the middle.
Yeah.
Favorite town or city outside of New York?
Oh, this is tough. It's got to be a tie between Houston and Tampa.
All right.
It's got to be a tie.
We've never been to Houston.
We've never been to Texas.
We've never been to Texas.
We've been to like 38 states.
Texas
and somehow
probably wins
Texas.
my favorite state.
Really?
Texas probably wins my favorite state. I've been there a couple of times. My family lives out there and I've been there, and Houston is just, I thought Utica was the best with food.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they
Houston,
say
oh my God. Good. Oh, and the people are the nicest human beings. The last time I went there, I went for a week with my best friend, and I don't think I ran into one rude human being.
They're all up here.
Yeah, I think they all came to New York. Absolutely. But yeah, I'd say Houston and Tampa.
All right. So it took you a minute to figure out your path. If there's someone listening right now that hasn't figured out theirs, what advice do you have for them?
I'd say always trust your instincts. One, I've learned recently that gut feeling I'm getting is for a reason, whether it's good or bad. It's usually for a reason. And one thing I always told the kids when I was working at ICANN is do what you love. Right. Especially, and I'm a huge mental health ambassador as well for ICANN as well outside of it. So I always tell people, do what you love and do it every single day. It doesn't matter if it's sports, doesn't matter if it's drawing, doesn't matter if it's music. It might be you're the best chess player in the world and you love playing chess. Do it every day if that's what makes you happy. So I would do that. And then again, on the business aspect, have a plan.
Okay.
So you love doing it, but have a plan.
I like it.
Favorite lyrics or verse from your new album? I know it's hard to pick a favorite.
Oh, man.
And we've only had one person perform on the show. So if you want to sing it to us.
Hold on. I got to look at the lyrics because there's so many in my head. Give me 2 seconds. I think it would have to be.
We can ad-lib here.
Yeah, I think it would probably have to be off the song called Autumn Leaves.
Do you have any children?
I do not.
I feel like if
I have a baby puppy, though.
If you have a daughter, it's got to be Autumn at this point, right?
Yes,
a lot of Autumn in your life.
Scott wanted to name Jenna Autumn. He dabbled with that a little bit.
Sorry.
Just
so I want to say, okay, so this is my favorite lyric off this. It says, my heart's gone, but body's dripping in gold. When leaves fall, they don't know where to go. If the branch is strong, they're going to come back around, but fall off again the minute they're home. Right. So it's kind of signaling the fact that feelings change, things change. Even if they do come back, things might go away at the same time. Yeah. So you got to understand the fact that, greatest things might come to you. The greatest things might leave. It's how you deal with it. Mm-hmm. So that's
transition, plan. You're a doer. You said I'm the creative at 4 a.m. We're recording this way too late in the day. My brain has gone dead. You take action, right? Perseverance, taking action, making it happen.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Nazzy, appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you guys.
So nice to meet you.
You guys as well. Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Love Living Local. As you know, we do not run ads. Our only mission is to shine a spotlight on amazing people doing amazing things here in our local community. If you'd like to support us with this mission, we have 3 ways you can help. You can share our content on social, subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast platform, and you can visit our lovelivinglocal315.com website to stay up to date with everything happening in Central New York.